Okay, so I haven't really planned this out very carefully, but I wanted to mention something for a certain young gentleman from my past. Excuse me. And, well, this video is addressed to this specific gentleman, but you'll also know whether or not it applies to you, okay? So it's not simply for an old friend, it's also for other people who are just like him. So, when I was in sixth grade and I was in a parent teacher conference between my father, my teacher, and myself, one of the things I heard was that I was too creative for my own good. So, it was just a funny thing to hear, both at the time and afterward, because I never thought I would hear that from anyone. I handled a certain assignment a little too crazily, but the creativity that sometimes got me in trouble when it came to following academic rules also got me into some very great situations with um, other people who really appreciated that I would just come up with absurdly original ideas in certain contexts. Okay. And part of what permitted me to be really creative was that I naturally had a very strong capacity to mentally visualize certain kinds of cerebral images in movies. And I still have a reasonably strong capacity to mentally visualize all kinds of scenes with very little effort, even though I have to make attempts to recover that kind of capacity given I've been through certain things that hurt my brain power a bit in the past decade. Now, what I want this friend to know, because he had a strong mental visualization capacity as well, is that even though I don't have a quick fix for his problems or everyone's problems, um, what this person and what people like him and what pretty much anyone I think deserves is to know that when you first wake up and then take some time throughout your day, uh, you can imagine a life in which you don't have to put on psychological armor before you exit your apartment or house or your car. Okay, you can imagine never having to look over your shoulder no matter where you go in the city you're in. You can imagine walking anywhere you want to, whenever you want to, including at midnight or 2 in the morning, okay, without having to have a weapon on your person. Or you can imagine having a full fridge at home all day, all month, all year, no matter what your employment status is like. You can imagine never being woken up at night by the sound of gunshots or police sirens. Okay? You can do this sort of imagination practice for several minutes a day, several times a day, particularly as you notice stress accumulating in your mind and body. Okay? And maybe you're sort of naturally brought into a state of like activation. And maybe at some point you are becoming too harsh on yourself or on others because regulating your emotions might not naturally come to you within a life context in which nobody's really there to listen to you or teach you certain kinds of skills that, I don't know, people like me have learned in our early 20s courtesy of warm and supportive people we sometimes meet in life's journey. So this gentleman was somebody who was absurdly insightful, I would say to a frightening extent. Okay, but it was also clear that he was someone who did not have certain kinds of mentors and supportive male friends in his life, and I tried to help him to whatever extent I could back in the day. But I don't know if he's possibly slipped through the cracks today. So I would want him and anyone like him to understand that, once again, I know it's generic at this point, but you deserve a life in which you don't have to be on the defensive wherever you go, okay? And if no one is going to tell you that you deserve to relax so deeply into your seat at home while you're just listening to music or something, that you don't have to get intoxicated and that you don't have to, uh, feel like you have to kind of justify your existence to someone, then I will let you know that there's a whole lot of inner beauty that is sealed off of, I don't know, certain people's lives because nobody ever sits with them and, for lack of a better word, looks at them with this sort of open heart and the eyes of like Jesus or something, and lets them know that, like, you are not born into a state in which you need to be so vigilant and so obsessed with whether or not people are questioning your motives or something, okay? So, this is kind of unscripted, so I apologize if, the ending is abrupt, but yeah, this was, it was a friend who was clearly suffering from things he didn't deserve to suffer through, and we didn't have identical backgrounds, but we kind of laughed over the fact that we knew we couldn't go to certain kinds of respectable places without having to deal with unwanted interrogations, or, the suspicion that we couldn't afford certain things just because we looked a certain way. So yeah, I wanted to mention this in passing. You deserve a life in which you don't have to feel like you have to preemptively or randomly defend your existence, and kind of seal off your intensity from the world around you, okay? Even if you might not encounter it now, there are people out there who are going to look at you like you have the capacity to become, to use culturally appropriate language, Christ-like through the right kinds of disciplines and training regimens. Okay, your fate is not determined by your childhood. It's not determined by what you've been through. It's not determined by your genes. It's not determined by your culture. You can steer the direction of your life if you kind of forcibly, consciously, repeatedly, and frequently make the decision to partake in visualization exercises like this and map out where you want to be and do what you can to mercilessly cut off anyone or anything that tries to convince you that you are not shit. Okay? I did that, and you can do the same, maybe not with the same speed, but certainly with the same intensity. Okay? Stay on the lookout for people, places, media pieces, experiences, books, etc., that flood you with a sense of inspiration regarding what you can eventually mature into, okay? You're not what you look like, you're not what you've been through, you're not what happened to your family or your friends or others in your neighborhood, okay? You are going to be a product of your own making. And any sort of high IQ bullshitter who tries to put, certain kinds of studies or something in your face, alleging otherwise, is just a toxic force sent from the pits of hell to try to undermine you, and you should not entertain his nonsense, okay? All right. Thank you for watching and have a good day, and God bless you.